Now, a story about one company's efforts to promote minorities to executive positions. Our business correspondent, Paul Salmon, of public station WGBH in Boston, reports.
Hey, guys. Hey, how you doing? Hey, come on in. Come on in.
Black executives. Still a relatively rare breed in corporate America, but maybe, just maybe, a key to this country's industrial competitiveness.
We in the African-American community understand the need for diversity. We've understood it for a long time.
What's the central question again?
We've been trying to get in. But the question is, does America understand the need for diversity? And are they ready to embrace diversity for the strength of America?
Richard, who? We don't want it.
This may be the most successful group of black managers in corporate America. Executives past and present of the Xerox Corporation. They call themselves the Road Show because they're on the road constantly, pushing the idea that America's ethnic diversity is a competitive strength, not a weakness.
Are you from
They converged on Boston because tomorrow, every MBA student at the Harvard Business School will hear them tell the case history of the black network at Xerox.
Xerox senior management, in its infinite wisdom, somewhere along the line said, we're going to empower these men and their associates to be who and what they are. And we weren't really sure where that was going to take us. They weren't sure, we weren't sure. But what they did was say that we're going to trust you, and empower you to be African Americans and bring that to the table. And it worked.
Compared to the rest of corporate America, Xerox's success at promoting African Americans in the past 20 years has been graphic. Any way you count it, blacks make up less than 6% of U.S. management. At Xerox, more than 11% of all managers are African American. More revealing still is a comparison of top managers. Here, the national average appears to be around 0.5% for blacks, 1% for minorities in general. At Xerox, by contrast, of 196 top executives, fully 9% are black, 17% minority. At Xerox, they say they're not just trying to fill affirmative action quotas. At every level, the company claims to be getting the loyalty and sense of corporate community that's usually associated with the Japanese.
We made a pact back in 1972, 1973. I mean, the same group of guys here and some that are not here, that we would never compete against each other. And do you know how difficult that is in a corporate setting for people to say they're not going to compete against each other when we were all competing for the same jobs, essentially? And you know what? We never did. And we all basically got our vice presidents or the directorships or plant managers or whatever area we were at, because we always knew that our back was covered. In other words, we didn't have to look behind us because we knew everybody that we loved was in front of us.
The Roadshow member who's risen highest thus far is Barry Rand, president of marketing at Xerox and one of its half-dozen or so top executives.
What's happening, Mr. President?
In Japan, workers join firms for life and form their own interpersonal networks. Rand says that's happening with blacks at Xerox.
In the black culture, just so happens that the major strategy that has allowed black people to flourish, to survive and then flourish, happens to be one of unity. We know that we historically have never been able to make it unless we unify and help ourselves.
We looked at where had the white male managers that were running the corporation come from. And we spotted those jobs and said, these are the kinds of experiences that you need if you're going to run a corporation like Xerox. As a result, then, we said, over the years, we're going to have women and minorities in those feeder jobs if we're ever going to have a broad range of executives to run the business. And that's exactly what we did.
In corporate America as a whole, after years of uniformity, companies have finally begun to recognize the need for diversity. Unfortunately, many of the attempts are half-hearted, if not half-baked. Tacos in the company cafeteria, for instance, or the promotion of a few token minority members to executive slots created just for them. At Xerox, however, they claim they're trying not just to cope with America's ethnic diversity, but to capitalize on it. Minorities are encouraged to use their ethnicity as a source of mutual support, of group identity, of corporate identity. African Americans do it through a network known as the Black Caucus.
In the district in Washington, D.C., we had a sales rep that was failing. The other 6 sales reps went into the person's territory to help the person get more prospects, qualify the prospects, demonstrate them so the person could get more orders, so the person could be more successful, and so the person could avoid either critiquing or making less money. Where in America would you find 6 people who would go and help another sales rep in the territory? An example of an expression of black pride, unity, and the value of excelling,
What Barry's talking about happened all over the country. It happened in Los Angeles, where Bernard was, San Francisco, where I was, New York, where Art was. Everywhere in the country, this was a common practice.
Racial generalizations can obviously be dangerous, even when they're positive. Are blacks really less hierarchical than whites? If so, is that an advantage? Do Asians have a special work ethic that somehow rubs off on other employees? Do Jews bring a special respect for education? You see how easily caricature could creep in here. And yet, different cultures obviously do have different strengths. Bring them together around a table and it simply stands to reason you'll have a greater range of experiences and perspectives than, for want of a better comparison, a group of more homogeneous Japanese. But even if you don't buy all this stuff about diversity as competitive advantage, you still have to grant Xerox's main reason for nurturing it, the inexorably changing nature of the American workforce.
The issue is that America is in an economic war. It can't fight the economic war with 1/3 of its population, which is basically majority male. The issue is skills, the issue is ingenuity, the issue is how do you take an underutilized population that has been historically underutilized, that has not had the opportunities, and bring them into, in this case, a workforce where they can contribute to the corporation's objectives and goals.
To promote one of your own. There's nothing wrong with that. The issue is not whether they're competent or not. Everybody who's vying for the job ought to be competent. That's not the question. The question is, what's the difference? The difference is somebody that's going to be loyal to and can also make a difference in your community. That's very important.
As white corporate America begins to open up its system to other black people and other groups as we approach the year 2000, they'll find that kids won't see their role models as Magic Johnson. They'll see their role models as Barry Rand and others. You follow me? Which is true in other groups. And I think for our society really to change, that we're going to have to begin to provide another vehicle for kids in our communities to be able to see that they can get out other than being 1 out of 12,000 in bouncing the basketball.
You're looking healthy, my friend.
Ever since the David Kearns era at Xerox, the idea has been to capitalize on diversity instead of just compensating for it. And to Roadshow member Kent Amos, the Xerox story shows how to do it and why.
So what it says is you can do all these things and win. And win. That's what's critical here that we understand. You don't lose by doing this, you win by doing this.
Ursula M. Burns, president of the Xerox Corporation, she began working for Xerox in 1980 as a mechanical engineering summer intern, working her way to executive assistant for Paul Allaire, then Xerox chairman and chief executive officer. In 2000, Ursula Burns was named Senior Vice President of Corporate Strategic Services and, most recently, President of the Document Systems and Solutions Group.